My friend Jess wanted a Finska set, which is a log throwing game. Probably the best analogy I can come up with is Scandinavian bocce. What it means for me is turning 12 logs 17.5 centimetres long and about 7 centimetres diameter. Then they'll get chopped at an angle. On the turning front, this isn't particularly complex, but it is good practice with a skew. If you've not used the skew before, it's one of my favourite turning tools, even though I'm not that great with it. Closest analogy with regular woodworking would be either the electric router or jack plane. It can be an electric router because it can do so many different things: beads, go, straight cuts, V-grooves. But much like a jack plane, or probably more of a smoothing plane, it leaves an awesomely smooth finish. Really cleans up the surface like you wouldn't believe. In this case, I wanted it to create straight logs rather than the undulations, which can be common with spindle gouges. As an added advantage, the surface is so smooth that 120 grit sandpaper is considerably roughing the surface up. Oh, and that screeching sound in the background isn't the lathe, that's the wife using the bandsaw on the flip-top Toolcart Mark II project. After getting the diameter and length I wanted, I turned down the extra at the head and tailstock. On the end that'll be the bottom, I scalloped out the underside a little bit so that when the Finska peg stands on the ground, it's a bit more stable and stones don't get in its way. Then gave it a light sanding, applied some Triple E, then shallow wax. Each peg needs to have the top cut off at about 45 degrees, so using a V-block clamp to my miter gauge, I took it to the bandsaw and sliced the top off. And I sliced it off several times because I'm not so awesome at my alignment. Still, it's better to have cut off too little than too much. The angled face will be getting numbers put on it, so it needs to be a bit smoother. So I took it to the bench sander to get it more in plane with itself. As I mentioned, it needs a number, so I used a transfer bit on my pyrography pen, which is no more than a soldering iron with delusions of grandeur. The heat separates the toner from the paper and stains the wood rather than burning in the image. Finska sets typically come in a crate, so I went about making one of them from some construction pine. First cutting it down to a rough length, then cleaning it up a bit on the thicknesser, then resawing. I did go back to the thicknesser and table saw to rip it, but somehow lost the footage. Then it was just a matter of cross-cutting all the pieces. Because it won't take a lot of load, some glue and brads are the perfect construction technique. It's a crate, not fine woodworking. As this is for Jess, I thought some more appropriate branding was needed on the crate. Thanks for watching.